welcome back, F1 fans, to Hitting the Apex. Today, we're going to be talking Imola, the Grand Prix, Scuderia Ferrari's home track, home race. So we're excited to talk about that. We're going to talk a little bit about Max Verstappen and Red Bull, as usual. Of course, we always got to talk about that guy. Unbelievable. Mercedes, McLaren, and what the rest of the field is going to do this weekend over in Italy. I think it's going to be exciting to watch. We're also going to cover tire compounds and some other news. Make sure you wear your watches really tight. This is Hitting the Apex. Let's go. Buenos dias, buenas noches.
Oh, wow. It's the late hour now.
Yes, it is. It's the late hour, late nights. Oh, I wish we had Alex on, like we did on that Twitter space, so we can go late nights with Alex. Anyways, what's going on, Vish? How you doing, my brother?
I'm just trying to figure out how many home Grand Prix Ferrari has. I thought Monza was the home Grand Prix. Now
No
it's
way,
Imola?
man. Yeah, it's both. We're
It's
doing
both?
Yeah.
I don't know. You can have two.
They're both in Italy, and Imola was San Marino, which was its own country, but it's not anymore. It's actually Italy now, so it's both. All right?
I don't. So San Marino is still separate. They just called it that. It was never in actually San Marino.
No, but it used to be called the San Marino GP.
Yeah, just because they wouldn't call. All right, this is going F1 nerd out. They wouldn't. You can't have two Grand Prix that are the same country, so they just called it San Marino. It was never in San Marino.
The United States has entered the chat.
Yeah, and they're not going to call it, in the race in Miami is not called the U.S. Grand Prix.
What is it called?
It's the Miami GP, right?
No, it's called the United States Grand Prix. Crypto.com, United States Grand Prix.
I'm pretty sure it's Crypto.com Miami Grand Prix.
I hope it is, but I haven't seen it anywhere where it says. I think we call it the Miami GP.
I'm pretty sure it's the Miami GP. But anyway, they definitely do not have two races that are called the same thing. So when they used to have two in Germany, for example, it is the Crypto.com Miami Grand Prix. Right,
it is?
by the
Okay.
way. Yes.
Good. Thank you.
But like when they were in Germany, they'd have one that's called the German Grand Prix and one that's called the European Grand Prix, which didn't even make sense. But they always, when there's two in the same country, they make up a fake name for the other one. So for Italy, it was San Marino.
Okay, I really have to hear you say the whole entire name for this one. Do it.
I can't even do it. I don't even know what it was. I put it in WhatsApp for you, but I don't know what it is. It's a lot of like.
I'm gonna say it, but before we get to that, I forgot. I totally forgot. We got to thank our sponsors, YouBreakWillFix.com. Real quick, you break will fix repairs damaged wheels from curb rash, cracks, or bends, all under one roof. In-house powder coating, CNC machining, and polishing. They also offer new custom wheels and tires from your favorite brands such as Vossen, Forgiato, Fuel, Off-Road. They now even offer no credit check financing up to $5,000 for a new set of wheels. Pretty cool. Fast turnaround times, which is always great on all repairs, and they even provide loaner wheels in many cases. So You Break Will Fix is your total automotive wheel solution located in North Miami, right off of Biscayne Boulevard and Northeast 146th Street. And by the way, You Break Will Fix is spelled out the letter U, break wheel, like a wheel, fix. Make sure you check them out on all social media platforms. They are on Facebook and Instagram at You Break Will Fix or online at youbreakwillfix.com. You can even give them a call, 305-748-0112 and schedule your appointment today. Again, it's 305-748-0112. You Break Will Fix, changing the way you see wheels.
I gotta say, we haven't commented on this before. You Break Will Fix is an amazing pun.
It really is. It's awesome.
It's an awesome name. You gotta give it up there.
I've heard of You Break. What is it called? You Break I Fix, or that cell phone one.
I don't know, but using like wheel spelled like wheel, but it's wheel. Like, I mean, come on, you can't beat that.
They did a good job. Look at
there you
Gary.
go. There you go, Gary. Support the show.
There you go. There you go. Check them out. You
Yes,
break
yeah,
will fix.
they will. You broke it, they'll fix it.
Let them know that the guys at
Hitting the apex. You
Hitting the
forgot the name
Apex
of the show,
on.
didn't you?
No. I was trying to say no. Yeah, I was trying to say. Are we gonna say the Twitter name? No, Hitting the Apex on 5 Reasons Sports sent you. I don't know what that's gonna do, but hey, it might do something. Who knows? Um,
All right, I did
so
pull up the name of the thing.
okay,
I
I
will give
gotta
it a shot.
do it.
This is the full name: Formula One Rolex Gran Premio del Made in Italy e del Emilia Romagna 2022. That is the full name of the race.
Ooh, nice. Not bad at all, my friend.
That is. I don't know why they threw the "Made in Italy" in English in the middle of this.
Are you? You know, I swear to you, when I saw that, I was like, "Is it made in Italy, or are they trying to say "Made in Italy"? I don't
It's so weird. Like,
know.
why did they do that?
I know that's kind of weird. That is kind of weird.
Oh, but that is the full name.
Dell'Emilia Romagna. All right, fair
Well, that's
enough.
the thing. You know, you get into a Gran Premio and you're like getting your Italian, and all of a sudden made in Italy, right in the
Yeah.
middle.
By the way, thanks for posting this up real quick here. Um, yeah, this is interesting. See, so last couple weeks ago, tire compound they went with C2, C3, and C5, right? To this time around, C2, C3, and C4. So what's the biggest difference there?
Well, so they did try to explain it, you know, by well, they tried to explain like the reason they took a gap in the step
Right.
last time was because it was new asphalt and Australia and all this. I think the second Albon basically did the entire race on one set of tires. They're like, no, we're going softer. And so they kind of stepped down a little bit here. They want to make sure that you have to pit. That it's you have to pit by rule, but they want to make sure it's advantageous to pit. And so I think that's why you're not seeing a gap in the compound. That hard in Australia basically ran the whole race, and so they don't want that.
Yeah,
So
makes
they're
sense.
hoping these will wear out faster. So there's no gap. So the tires should be a little bit more closely aligned. Because what happened is in Australia, once the hard tires became the best tire to be on, and then you have a gap, and then the next tire, the mediums were one step removed. It basically means the performance gap between the two tires was too high. So they
Gotcha.
want to try and shrink those things up, and now it's just one step between each tire.
What's going to be the big? Excuse me. What's going to be the biggest? Because I'm trying to look at that circuit, and how many DRS zones do we have in this one?
I
Is it
am
two
not
or
sure.
three?
I think it's three. I want to say they said they were doing three, but
Three.
maybe it's two.
So it looks like, from what I understand, again, obviously, you see the first sector there at the start. You've got a nice long straightaway after and then you've got a little chicane as you get into sector two. You've got that nice turn there, that nice corner. So sector two is kind of where I guess where DRS zones, one of them is going to be. I don't know. That's interesting. I'd like to find that out if we could, Manny. Find out how many DRS zones here. But so what I'm trying to get at is, from what I understand and just reading on a lot of things, and again, look, the reason why I'm naming these two is because these two right now are the fastest cars out there. Although Red Bull is struggling with reliability, on these straightaways, this is where Red Bull is going to be able to make up time, make up some, and they're going to be the fastest car when it comes to that, right? Or are we still seeing that Ferrari is still going to be able to match that, that pace with them on the longer straightaway um, sections of this circuit?
No, I think Ferrari's just a
Oh wow,
fast.
just a single DRS zone.
Yeah, and
That's
actually,
interesting.
I'm looking at it, and the detection zones are towards the end of sector three, and then down the
Ah,
start finish straight is the actual.
I thought it was going to be sector two. Okay.
Yeah, so it's actually. Let me put this in, see if producer Manny here can pull this up. This kind of shows the. If you want to pull that up, Manny, it'll show the actual where the detection line is. But it's interesting because the detection line is before the hairpin. Well, it's not really a true hairpin, but before that double
Oh,
turn,
there you go.
and then you can see the green line across the top is the actual DRS zone. So there's a full series of corners after the detection zone and into the DRS zone. So you could be behind at the detection zone, overtake, going into these other turns, and then already have the DRS. To answer Gary's question,
Yeah.
DRS essentially, if you're within a second of the car in front of you, you have a device that'll open the rear flap on your car, so it allows the air to flow through on the subsequent straight. So that's the DRS zone where you can do that, and it gives you a huge
It's the
performance boost
drag reduction
system.
system, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, drag
yeah,
reduction system.
yeah. But essentially, it's a flap in the rear wing that you can visibly see it when they use it, but it pops open, and the air goes through, so it allows the car behind a better chance to overtake, essentially. So it makes you faster on the straight, and so the detection zone is where they measure the gap between you and the car in front of you, and if it's less than a second, you then have DRS, and then when you get to the zone, you can use it. Now, there's exceptions to that. You can't use it in the first two laps. First two laps after an accident. If the weather is bad, they'll turn it off sometimes, so there are exceptions. But generally speaking, that's the rule.
What up, Alex? We mentioned you earlier today, man. Late nights with Alex Beher. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. I'm done. I'm done. I'm not mentioning that last name anymore. Bajer. I'm going Spanish. Bajer. I see them opening up, but thought the driver just had the ability to do that. So they do have the ability to do that. They just can't do it if they're not within.
It gets enabled, and actually in like qualifying, everyone has it all the time. So you'll see them do it on every lap.
Right, that's how you see these really fast laps that a lot of these car, even some of the cars that
It was actually originally, so this is back in 2010, I think. McLaren actually.
The butcher, look, you misspelled butcher, by the way, Fernie. That's what you get.
In 2010, I want to say it was, McLaren actually did a kind of a weird version of this where. So you're not allowed to have like moving parts on the car that are controlled by the driver, but they had an airflow valve in the car where if the driver pushed his knee against it, it would close it off and redirect the airflow. So it was a way to it was a very rudimentary form of this, but it made them faster on the straights. Wasn't banned, even though it was questionable legality. And then that's what gave them the actual idea to, hey, we should just have this built into the car because it helps overtaking. Because cars it's difficult for them to follow, so it allows them to catch up. So that was the original thought behind DRS. They call it the F duck because this is good sponsorship. The gap in the front of the car was on the F in Vodafone, which sponsored them back then.
Wow.
So if you ever hear F duck, that was like the same concept as DRS, but just a version where the driver would actually press his leg up against the side of the car to do the airflow.
It's unbelievable. I love it. I think that's great. I think it's so cool. So okay, so going back to my next point, how does this, first of all, how does having one DRS zone affect some of the cars that are going to be in contention, right, for the top, let's say top 5, even top 10, because at this point right now it's still really really competitive even with the top 10. Of course, you've got Ferrari, Red Bull at the top, but you see Mercedes starting to make some moves now. They look really good a couple weeks ago. McLaren looked really good a couple weeks ago. So they keep mentioning that Red Bull on these straightaways will have an opportunity to really stay with the Ferrari car. How does that work?
Yeah, I mean, Red Bull. So, I mean, we're going off of Saudi Arabia where Red Bull was faster and they won, but it was very tight, and that was a full power circuit. This is a combination of, there's pretty much 1.5 straights, and it's a lot of turns after that, and some medium speed turns. So I actually think the Ferrari is probably the faster car on this circuit overall. I know everyone's like thinking this is where Red Bull starts the fight back. I'm not buying. I still think Ferrari's got them beat on pace, and I think the limited DRS, and I think this will. My theory is you don't really need it as much anymore because the cars can actually follow each other now. So we'll see how that plays out, if it does become processional or if people are able to overtake.
Look, at the end of the day, I don't think he needs to worry about. I don't think Horner and that whole team needs to worry so much about pace and about speed. They got to make sure their car is going to run the whole damn race, And if they don't, and if they have an issue again, let's say even if they finish the race, but they're still having some issues, I mean, this is going to get to a point where if you think that Max Verstappen is um, insupportable right now, just wait till something else happens. So his car breaks down again. Just wait till even Checo has some sort of a screw up or a mix up with something. I think that right now they're kind of on thin ice, man, when it comes to what's going on with the reliability. So let's read here what Helmut Marko said on Verstappen's struggle with the RB 18. With the setup of the car, you sometimes lack the confidence to maintain his extreme driving style. You can see that this makes Checo closer to him. Yeah, look, I like what he said. I mean, this kind of makes sense to me.
I mean, what the hell's going on with Helmut Marko shitting on Max all of a sudden? Like, what has happened? I thought this was like a similar quote from the last race, but no, this was yesterday. This is yesterday. What has happened?
The changing of the guard, baby.
Jesus, the guy wins a title, and you're just like, I mean, to me, if that car does not fit Max's driving style, that is entirely Red Bull's fault. You have a generational talent there. He's just won the championship. Why would you develop a car that does not suit his driving style? I don't even understand how that could be a thing. There's a lot of I think Red Bull's having a lot more problems than we're being led to believe. This whole like
of course
Horner coming out after the last race and saying it wasn't the engine. Dude, the thing was on fire, man. I think they're trying to mask how poor the car is performing relative to what they thought. The reliability, lying that it was the engine when it clearly was. I mean, again, on fire. And yeah, it wasn't just them, right? Both the AlphaTauris have stalled also using the same power unit. So, and now it's like, oh, well, it's because Max is driving too fast. I mean, what was the accusation? Because he backed off Leclerc in the last race and tried to nurse the thing home, and it blew up anyway. So, I think there's a lot of stuff going on there. They reassigned their engineers. Like, there's all sorts of stuff going on there. That I think we're sitting here kind of, you know, I can't believe it's the second week where I'm defending Max. I cannot stand that guy. But
well, if you think you can't stand them now, can you imagine if they continue to have these reliability issues?
I'm enjoying that. I'm enjoying him whining and while the car blows up like that. I'm enjoying, but after the race, when they're blaming him for it, and they're like, "Boy, you know, if he drove smooth like Checo, the engine wouldn't explode." Come on, man.
Get out of here, Manny. You got something to say?
Yeah, Manny, get up in here, Manny.
No, listen. We all know that it's been Sergio that's been carrying the team, no matter how you look at it. Whether the Red Bull has had issues with the vehicle itself. They seem to always say week by week it's fixed. It's nothing too crazy, and we've seen 2 DNFs. So yeah. that is first of all that is hard to try to understand when you are a defending champion, and you see that driver number 2 is basically finishing races while you're not even close to it. I don't believe this Marco talk. I think Vish, you mentioned it last week. He just does this to create quotes.
He's an ass. Like, I mean, this dude is
but it creates great content for us. Like, yeah. I'm not gonna lie. Like, and then if you look on the same quote from what he said, something the day before he said Max's car is fine, there's nothing wrong, and then the next day he says, well, Max has a difficult driving style. That's why Checo is closer to him. This is all a bunch of BS. But come on,
well, you know what? What Moni didn't show up today, so we can just crap on Red Bull. But there's not a more unlikable team between Christian Horner, Helmut Marko. Max is a jerk too. Like that. Yeah, we're all like, go Checo, just because like you judge by the company you keep.
At this point, I'm like, go Checo, and think about that for a second. You know.
I mean, yeah. At this point, it's kind of like, well, you might as well, you know. You just like, it's lesser of 4 evils, I guess. That whole team is just unlikable. But I will say, well, since Manny decided to hop in here for a minute, this does show you like why Lewis Hamilton is so good. I know I'm a Hamilton fan too, but if you tell him to push, he'll put together 15 qualifying laps in a row and eat someone up. If you tell him to manage the tires, he'll hit a target time. I think Max, again, we talked about this, I think, on the season preview or maybe after the first race. He's still really young. He does need to mature his driving style. Like there's still growth that needs to happen there.
Absolutely.
Whereas you look at someone like Hamilton, where it's just like he'll drive whatever's necessary, however is necessary.
Well, didn't you see this with, and I hate to compare them, but didn't you see this with Hamilton also in his early stages? That
Yeah, no, that was the knock on him, was that he can actually, when they went to these tires, because they used to use Bridgestone tires that used to last forever,
right.
and they went to these Pirellis, and they intentionally, actually, again, another history thing. One year in Canada, Bridgestone screwed the tire up, and they started shredding. Like they started coming apart and wearing quickly, and everyone's like, "That's great racing." So then because you had to change tires, because you used to be able to. Bridgestone had two compounds. They had the prime and the option, and they'd pretty much both last the entire race. So you would just try to figure out. You had to use both. They still had that rollback then, so you had to kind of figure out what's the optimal time to pit. But I really just want to be on the softer tire the whole race. So in Canada, when they actually they wore out, people were like, "Oh, that's more interesting when they're struggling on tires." So when Pirelli came in, they were actually charged with making worse tires. And everyone was at that point was like, Hamilton's screwed because he cannot handle tires, and now he's the best in the world at doing that. So, yeah, he had to learn,
Yeah.
but he did, and Max should be afforded that opportunity.
This again kind of comes up again as the battle with Ferrari and Red Bull, Marquez. And by the way, if anybody's on here and doesn't follow Denny or at Fia Gurley, make sure you go check her out. She's awesome, man. She puts up some great content.
I assume that was FIA, but I don't know.
FIA, yeah, is it? Yeah, FIA Gurley, Fia
Oh,
Gurley.
Jazz is butchering.
I mean, this is we got a show going now.
It's a Twitter handle. Go screw yourselves. It's a Twitter handle. All right. The Ferrari's happy place appears to be with a greater wing area than the Red Bulls. This implies that circuits that generally, I think that's what she tried. Oh, generically demand more wing level. The F175 advantage over the RB18 will be at its greatest. So what is she trying to say here? That the fact that our wing, the rear wing, is better than Red Bulls, and that's why they have the advantage.
And then I think also what she's also implying is, even though the Ferraris has had a difficult time with the porpoising, what is it?
Right. Porpoising.
It's still able to manage itself
right.
terrifically well around the corners without any problem, right? When you look at the Red Bull, how many times have we seen at least twice go a little bit off track, not even trying to gain any spots? It just has a hard time going with it. And then at some point, obviously, you're over pushing the engine, Max Verstappen. You're over pushing the whole vehicle, Max Verstappen, and you're not finishing, Max Verstappen. So I think that's basically what she's saying. I don't know. Vish, please, more.
No, that's part of it. But I think, first of all, they're just learning how to stuff about this car. So anything we say about them, might change in a week, right? They're still developing them. They're brand new. The other thing is, we saw this last year much more clearly because there were just two cars that were way in front of everyone else. But she's basically saying certain tracks are going to favor Ferrari versus others will favor Red Bull.
Well, this one apparently favors Red Bull on the straights, and then on the chicanes and the corners, it's.
Well, that's where
Ferrari,
where to Manny's point, where Ferrari has been.
I actually have a follow up that she actually followed up with.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So those with generally demand low wing levels should see the Red Bull at its best relative to Ferrari. Looking at the GPS traces around the three circuits so far visited, the Ferrari appears to be either shorter geared or more powerful at lower revs. So
interesting.
Yeah, but so to the point that Manny made earlier in terms of the porpoising, one of the things that's kind of been that other teams are actually studying in Ferrari is how they porpoise so badly on the straights, but then it seems to just stop as they head into the corners, which is where it really matters. Right. On the straights, just makes the driver uncomfortable, and no one cares about that. And then when they get to the corner, you can just see it stabilizes, and if you see the Mercedes, it doesn't. Right? I mean, that's where you're kind of seeing that difference, where you don't really see Red Bull porpoise, but you also don't see that her point she's making about the wing. You don't really see that high end into the corner speed. So that's whatever. Ferrari has done to cause it to, I guess, stabilize it. It enters the corners. They basically, as they brake, has been the key to them being quick through the corners because they're able to carry that speed all the way into the corners. You can see the Mercedes having to brake earlier, hit braking points earlier to have it stabilize before they go in, where Ferrari just sends it into the corner without issue. Gotcha. So that's what the other teams are kind of looking at.
Also, guys, let's not forget that there's been 2 races at night, different types of temperature, and then you have the day race in Australia. That right there is a big difference to see what each team Like they really don't know, until they're out there. So, and I'm not talking about qualifying or practices. They have to actually, in race day, kind of figure out how is this car going to be able to manage the heat and all these other things. So that's like a whole thing in which I think what as much as we want to think about what could be the issues, in reality, these teams probably don't even know yet, right? I mean, now you go right into a sprint race, right? So it's like you went from night to night to now day, and now you're going right into a sprint.
This is why this Grand Prix is so interesting.
Absolutely, because
you've got the sprint now.
Miami, you want to then gain that full at least 75%, in understanding of knowing how your car is. Because if you don't heading towards Miami, then you really have some issues. And I'm talking about Aston Martin better get their shit together.
Well, I wanted to talk
only
about
team without a point, Manny. Only team without.
I'm saying they gotta get their shit together.
I wanted to talk about what Alex posted there, really cool. But I don't know if we should get to that first or if we should get to the sprint. I guess we can kind of go with that since it's kind of fresh, and we'll jump right into sprint right after and get your takes on.
Oh, you want to talk about Leclerc? I am sure. Man, are you surprised that Jazz wants to talk about Leclerc?
We've been talking about. Hold on.
He's right there. Look at him. Say hi. He's right there.
There he is. Hi. Listen, let's be honest. All right, let's be honest. We've been talking about
Jack.
Yeah, our loyal followers.
Verstappen and Checo for the love of
God.
All right, we've been talking about damn Red Bull for the first 20 minutes of this damn show. All right, enough is enough.
I touched a little bit about Hamilton.
Okay, yeah, a little bit of Hamilton. That's fine. And I want to talk more about Hamilton and McLaren, but he mentioned something like Leclerc has been so focused, right? It's almost like he's taking that step, right? And not only in his new car, but like he's just taking that step and maturity, and he's a little bit of a different driver. You can see a little bit of a difference and a shift in the way that he is performing on the track. Yes, he's been killer in Q3 and all that, but you've seen his development. You've seen, is this, and I know Ferrari's talking about, oh, we're going to let them race. We're going to let them, don't give me that crap, okay? It's Leclerc and Sainz's number two.
They will hit a kill switch on Sainz's car and have it blow up if he's going to finish it.
I'm not saying, look, and the only way that I can see Sainz finishing ahead of Leclerc right now is, like you said, if there's an issue with reliability or something happens, God forbid. But if it's like Leclerc P1 and Sainz P2, and they're like, and Leclerc's like, I'm sorry, Sainz like a second behind, he's got DRS, there's no chance that he's going to do anything.
I think it's even more than that. I think at this point,
or vice versa, right? If he's got DRS,
yeah, no, I think if as long as they're not risking throwing away the 1-2, they're gonna either flatly tell him move the hell over, or use one of their code words. He's faster than you.
But let's talk about that a little bit, right? Like,
first of all, we got to acknowledge the arrival of our man here.
Hey,
our man dressed for the occasion.
Oh, look at this man.
I had
this
to do
man
something.
is definitely a papaya. Well,
Hey,
Jesus Christ.
I had to do something with work, so sorry I'm late. But
all good.
Hey.
So good.
No DNFs here.
Yeah.
No DNFs, baby. No DNFs. Let's go. Well, you know what? Let's go around the horn with this on just the development and the way that he has been driving this year. Do you see him? Because obviously we've all seen that he's got the talent, but there's always something that happens, right? He always tends to shit to bed somehow. This is a little bit different. Is this a different Leclerc? We'll start with Nick on that.
So we're talking about Leclerc, right? Sorry. Just kind of.
Yes.
Okay.
Jazz would like to go around the room and have us all praise Leclerc, so
Yes.
you can go first.
Well, I mean, Leclerc, even a couple years back, he came on the scene, in 2018 to Formula One, he already had some expectations, being like a real young driver, signing to Ferrari, and pretty much becoming the heir apparent after Vettel left. So he already had the expectations, and now he's meeting the expectations after a couple of years of them struggling.
Right.
Sorry.
So
We were just laughing.
I'm sorry, Nick.
You gotta post it up again. Nick, you just see it, Nick?
Formula One, man.
Who gives a shit? Come on. Oh man, that was great. No, yeah, I agree with you, Nick. Go ahead. I'm
I
sorry,
mean,
Nick.
he's probably even like this year. He's even probably going beyond expectations, considering how he started this year. So I think he could like if he continues on this level, he will most likely win the drivers' championship this year.
Yeah, it's gonna be. And by the way, before we move on, Ferrari News just posted something. Manny, I don't know if you have that news on Twitter.
What is the Twitter handle?
At Fanatics Ferrari. At
Yeah.
Fanatics Ferrari.
What just happened to the show over the last 10 minutes?
This was 3 hours ago. This is
Just posted? You had this in the barrel for 3 hours.
No, actually, I just came up on our feed.
From a site called Fanatics Ferrari. All right, this should be good. Let's see this gem.
This pertains to the whole entire thing. So screw you again, once again. Following the that's it. Yeah, following the Miami residents' lawsuit against the first Miami Grand Prix, a South Florida judge has dismissed the protest and deemed that the race will go ahead as planned. Attorneys for the event argue that there is no evidence of potential hearing loss and injury. I mean, this is ridiculous. Why? Why are they still doing this? The residents around there they're just, yeah. Well, of course, but they're just haters.
So in their defense, Formula One's loud as shit. I wouldn't want it necessarily in my backyard if I didn't care about this. But the reason that it took this long for the suit to go forward is because I'm sure intentionally they only just approved the permit. So the first time they sued, like the judge threw it out because they said there's no permit yet. What are you suing to block? And now that they approved it last minute, it forced them to last minute try and what the motivation is. I think they don't want loud cars in their neighborhood because they don't give a crap about the race. Now, unfortunately, we live in a society where you gotta deal with that. I mean, it is. So I don't know that there's really the whole thing about they're gonna have permanent hearing loss. I mean, that's garbage, right? But I can understand why if I lived there and I did not care about the sport, I would not want this whole thing around my house. Like, I get it, but tough. And I will say, especially since Joe Robbie Stadium at the time has been there for what, 40 years or whatever? Yep. Or 30 years, whatever it is. Like, they knew they were living in a place where there would be games and traffic and stuff for that. So, to me, it's a little bit different than you buy, like, a peaceful residential neighborhood that, like, they build the track going down your street. That's a little bit different than there's already tennis, football there all the time. There used to be baseball there, and yeah, I mean, they do everything at that complex. So to me, that's where you kind of lose your standing.
Validity,
there.
I guess. Yeah, that's true.
So this to just follow up with that, and I've been a firm believer of this. I don't think Formula One did a great job at trying to bring the outside community where this race is happening, at least to create projects, create an outreach, go out there. And I understand not every household likes racing. I understand that. But you can kind of introduce them to the name Lewis Hamilton. And I don't know, think of something, right? Because I know when the Super Bowl comes down here and the college football playoff, they're always building parks. They're always building small kids centers, things like that. I haven't seen a single report yet of Formula One doing anything of that. They might be doing it. I'm not saying they're not. But I'm thinking they're doing a piss poor job at trying to create a relationship with the location itself, especially if this is something that's going to be happening year in and year out. You'd want that connection. And
yeah, but they don't care.
They don't care.
This is about having people with tons of money fly to Miami for the race instead of it being for
this is an international
city.
thing.
Yeah,
this is not a city
right?
thing.
No. This is about billions of people coming in with tons of money.
That's why it's an international thing. Yeah. And this is the thing, right? Two things. Like, number one, like we just mentioned, this is an international sport. Nobody cares about the community, even in Austin, and in Vegas. It doesn't matter, right? Like,
Austin cares about Longhorns. That's it.
That's my point. That's my point. Here's another thing, right? Like, and it is what it is, right? Like, we're building it in an area where the neighborhoods and the communities are predominantly Black and Hispanic in that area, right?
They love football.
So not only do they love football, but they don't. There isn't a quote unquote Black athlete in this, right? And Lewis Hamilton is right. He is no. Hold on. Let me finish. There is, however, he's a British guy, right? He's from the UK. He's not he's not the traditional black athlete like you see in the NFL or the NBA, and
He's not a
things
LeBron James.
that the community that the community can relate to here, right? So when you try to introduce that here, it becomes tougher. Same thing with the Hispanic community. The Hispanic community doesn't care about Checo or care about Fernando Alonso or Carlos Sainz because they don't. I mean, they don't know them. They don't understand. They don't understand the sport. So that's what's going to be tough to introduce those guys.
I disagree with that angle on it. I just think it is an elitist sport. It's a rich person's playground. We're putting it in, let's just call it a working class area. They don't give a crap about the sport, and I don't think it matters who the drivers are. I agree with Manny. There's been zero outreach, but I don't think it would really matter. Like you're talking about, you're talking about a sport where you're charging like $5,000 a ticket. Like who? That's who's the outreach to? Like this is not.
Well, it's $300 for a 1-day Friday, but then you're charging $900 for the next 2 days.
Yeah, I mean this is not. This sport's not about outreach. It's about a rich people's playground, and the way the race ends up in Miami is we paid them to put it there. Yeah. And I mean that is it's not about the people. And so it doesn't. The drivers don't matter because like Checo has a big following, not in Miami because there's not that big of a Mexican American community, but he does in other parts of the United States, but only among F1 fans because most people still, Drive to Survive obviously helped the popularity. Most people in this country don't give a crap about F1. Yeah, but it is an elitist sport. I mean that is what it is, and so it's not going to connect with the local community anywhere but except maybe Monaco.
Yeah. Now, could it also be that because Formula One doesn't actually have an American driver, that could also, help bridge the gap between the fan base.
But they have an American team, and that's
but that's not
the American
team.
Is not even American. For the
an American team that spent the last year painted with the Russian flag.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not
my fault. They use Ferrari. Like, come on, dude.
I agree with Nick. I think if you have an American driver or two, I think maybe the Americans can get behind it a little bit more.
A little bit more, but I think
I don't think that makes a difference.
I tend to agree more than Manny. I think it'll help some, but I think first you have to like Formula One on some level, and then that'll pique your interest. Mm-hmm. You look at Dutch fans, right? They were Formula One fans that weren't like that passionate about it. Then there's a Dutch driver, and now they're like the craziest ones, right? Now they're the craziest ones. I think you can see that if you get that base level of support. But dropping, all right, let's just be blunt. Dropping this track in the middle of the hood and expecting the community to get behind it, it's just like, come on, man.
Well, and here's the thing, right? Like, it's not, and you know what? To Nick's point, yes, I think it'll help a little bit. But what won't help is if the American driver sucks, then they really won't care. Okay, because if the American driver's like,
I mean, you can't in some ways you can't really help that. Now, if the guy's like wrecking or like not finishing races, then yeah. But I mean, if he's on a team like Aston Martin and he's like doing whatever the best he can, and he's still at the bottom of the pack, then that's really not entirely his fault.
No, I'm not saying it's going to be his fault, but this is how fans are in the America or in the U.S. Like if you're not winning, nobody cares.
And then
especially in Miami, if you don't win, they don't care.
Exactly.
As far as American drivers go, I know unfortunately they love to go to NASCAR first. That's what I've seen, right?
Because
I would have loved to see Jimmy Johnson in an F1 car and see what he could have done, right? Or a freaking Gordon or somebody, but they just love that type of, racing more than.
They also do go to IndyCar quite a bit.
IndyCar, yeah, correct. Also.
Yeah, I mean, we have American racing series, and F1 is still, it's a growth opportunity in this country, but it's the third most popular racing series in this country, so. That's what we're dealing with here, because we have our own racing series.
I know we definitely went.
That was a hell of a tangent.
Yeah, that was awesome.
How did we get there?
I don't know. It was Manny.
Oh, it was you. It was you and your. Here's a global announcement about a lawsuit being dropped. Let me. Manny, please show it on the Ferrari fan account. Like that. That's how we ended up here to start with.
All right, so we're going back to Leclerc. Alex starts us off. Here we go.
It just so happens that I saw it on that website. You guys can kiss my ass.
You should ask that website to follow you. It's back, man. We're here promoting it for like.
I know we're basically. I mean, at some point we're going to be called the 5 Reasons Ferrari podcast.
Well, hey, we need all the followers we can get.
We're treading that line there. Okay.
Well, we need all the followers we can get.
That is very true, Jack. It has declined, but they still sell out. Well, the Daytona 500 I know does. The other one that happened a couple of weeks ago, that's like a short circle track does.
I think in-person attendance is still good, but Jack's absolutely right. Like their TV numbers have been dropping pretty badly.
Yeah.
The interest, overall interest, is dropping.
I mean, I remember when it was Dale Earnhardt Jr. and everybody wanted to watch him.
No, it used to be
as
the
soon
most.
As they found out he couldn't win, it was like, okay.
Used to be the most popular sport in America.
Yeah, it used to be the highest rated TV sport, and it's not even close now. So.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think we can kind of move on from the Leclerc thing. Yes,
I think we should. Yes.
Yeah, he's great. Whatever. I guess we'll talk about that other shit show.
Real
Mercedes.
quick on Charles and your question that you asked. Charles Leclerc is very likable. He's very humble. He seems like a type of young guy that knows that if he just continues the way that he's just doing his business, he has a great car. There's nothing that could possibly stop him, except for one thing, himself. And I think Carlos Sainz is in trouble. Carlos Sainz, to me, I picked him to win the championship. I don't even think he's going to come close to it. And it's because the way that Charles just carries himself differently. His car's actually also been better. And I'm sorry, like I don't see in any scenario where Ferrari says, "Oh, it's okay." You know, I think Jazz, you said it best. Oh, we're gonna let them race. I don't think that's the strategy that they want to go forward. They want to win it all. And if Charles Leclerc has been proven week in and week out with this race car that he can do that, so I'm sorry, Carlos. Like I know you're asking for another 2-year contract. I don't know where that's gonna get you.
It looks like you might get it though.
No, you're right. He probably won't be getting it, but. You know what I'm saying? If Charles keeps having such great progress and such a positive, outcomes week in and week out, you got to start thinking. Listen, maybe Carlos Sainz just needs to get out of there.
To go where though?
I don't know.
He's in the best car right now.
To me, Carlos Sainz is too damn talented to be stuck at P2 and just stay there. I'm sorry.
But where's he going to
go?
I don't know.
Yeah. I'm just not. Unfortunately for him, he's at best the 4th best driver in Formula One right now.
Yeah, but Leclerc's the best of them all right now, and
right, but
Ferrari's not going to tell Leclerc, hey,
No, but you're looking at a situation where Leclerc, Hamilton, Verstappen are clearly the 3 best drivers. So at best, Sainz is 4th. So where's he going to go? Where's the number 1 driver? Right,
McLaren.
I mean, he's been there.
Yeah, he could replace Ricardo.
I mean, yeah, he could backslide to a team like that and then max out at finishing 7th. Right? Is that better than being in a car that can win races? Probably not. So that's why he'll happily stay there as number 2. Everyone's like, why was Bottas? Yeah, like why was Bottas like at Mercedes that long? Because he could win races and he could compete there and. Not yet, we'll get there. And
Alex, we are 45 minutes in and we haven't gotten there yet.
Well, we spent 35 minutes on Leclerc, so let's wrap this up.
No, stop it.
I know.
We also spent 25 minutes on Red Bull and Money's not even here. So
I know,
but that was because we took the opportunity to give them the treatment they deserved.
Whatever.
No, but I mean, this is the conundrum you have as a number 2 driver on a really good team. Do I really want to go to a crappier car just because that makes me the lead driver? The answer is probably not. You think Bottas is having more fun in the Alpha this year than he had in the Mercedes last year? No way.
Probably not.
So, and I mean, that's the thing. Like Sainz can win races. Sainz never won a race. He can win races this year.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, that's a big deal. So.
Yeah.
No, it's not. Let's move on. Let's get no.
No, it's not. Okay, so real quick, we'll kind of finish off with some of the other teams. I definitely want to talk a little bit about Mercedes and McLaren. Yes, sir, Alex, you better put that one up, Manny. But anyways, there it is for Ferrari.
No. Get out of here.
That's all right, you guys.
You know what? Let's talk about the papayas.
Hey, look, Mercedes. Let's talk to Mercedes first. I want to get your take on, how you guys feel the car is starting to perform. Is there an opportunity for maybe Lewis or George to kind of, finish on the podium this week, or at least to get, to be competitive?
I have realized that in 3 races in, I am not going to take quotes or comments any serious. I'm not going to pay attention to them. I need to see the car on the track and just see what it does. All this speculation, that they changed the wing, they made it smoother, and the side pods and the porpoising. I think most most Merc fans already know this already, that we're not really going to understand anything until we actually see the vehicle on track. And this is going to be something new for everyone. It's a sprint. It's not the same as it's been. So how confident do I feel? I mean, listen, the car's not even 100%. And yet you have George Russell in second. And I think Mercedes, is in third, right? In the
No,
they're
they're
number
second.
two.
They're
They're
second.
second.
They're
they're
ahead of Red
second in
Bull.
the construction, and their vehicle is not even close to being halfway there. So I'm not going to complain. I'm already over this whole issue.
Yeah, but
with
they're
George
not there. They're
Russell
not there
and-
because they're there. They're there because some of the faster cars have had some reliability issues.
I will say
Yeah,
I do think
but then as well, yes. Does Red Bull's issues? I'm not being able to finish races. Has it laid into Merck's hands of being up there? Of course, but that's not my problem. Like, that's Red Bull's issue. Figure it out, right? I'm totally sorry. Like, if every other team was doing positive and Merck wasn't, then I'd be nervous because holy shit, like I'm pretty sure, this team won't even be in the top three in either category, right? So I'm not gonna look at it as, well, Lewis Hamilton has to finish first today. No, I'm not gonna look at it. Would it be great? Yes, because then we can see what they've done, what changes have become, and then we can actually then say, wow, then the wing was this, and then the side pods were this, and the porpoising has gotten better. But I'm going to take it race by race. Let's get to Miami and let's see.
What do you think, Vish? I know you were going to say something.
Yeah, I think the sprint race will help. I'll go on sprint races in a minute, but I do think this format helps Mercedes. All right, man, we'll get to the papaya. I actually got a papaya and I left it in the kitchen. Damn it! I had a whole bit planned. I was gonna cut it open on the show, but I don't feel like going and getting it next week.
I can split it in half for you right here. There you
All right, there we go.
There we go.
Next
week.
Good God. But anyway, so I do. Mercedes has been a lot better on race pace than in qualifying. They've sometimes been able to hang onto the back of the Red Bulls. They really haven't been threatened from behind. So having that sprint race to work as they could, in the one lap qualifying on Friday, end up in 5th and 6th behind the Red Bulls and Ferraris, but actually, race them closer on the actual sprint race, which is the actual starting grid. So I do think that'll help them a little bit. They have been a little bit better during the races than they have been in qualifying. So I think there's an opportunity there for them to take advantage of that. Yeah, I do have a papaya.
All right, so speaking of papaya, so now we're talking about a team who had made some progress last week. I mean, both Lando and Danny Ricciardo had some pretty nice showings. Is this as good as it's going to get for McLaren, or do they have kind of another gear that they can kind of get to? And I want to talk, we'll start with Vish on this one.
Yes, that was as good as it's going to get.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, so? It's not close to the. You know what? I will go get this papaya.
Yeah, I think you're gonna have to.
I think I'm gonna go get the papaya, but I'll do a quick answer and then Nick can answer as the other.
Don't get your papaya, Dan.
Yeah, all right. I'll just say yes. That's about as good as it's gonna get.
There it is. Look, there's Lando and there's Ricardo right there. There you go.
All right. So
Nick, what's up? Talk to us.
So for McLaren, pretty much right now, I would have to go along with Vish. It's probably this is the best they're going to get this year. Fighting. They might surprise a few people and get on a podium here and there. If they luck into winning a race because other cars crash or because of bad weather or whatever, that'll happen. But for the most part, I feel like finishing in 4th in the constructors is probably their ceiling this year. Now, if all of a sudden they get everything right and they put it all together, then maybe they can fight for that 3rd spot. But most likely, it's just going to be 4th in the constructors and a few podiums and maybe sneak in a race win.
What do you think, Manny?
I'm not gonna say much about McLaren. They don't scare me. Next.
Oh, come on. At least chime in.
No, they don't. They're there.
That might not scare you, however.
Oh. Oh.
There it is.
Oh.
Hold on. I actually did cut this. I'm trying not to drop these seeds all over my ass, but I do have both of
The
these
papaya
papayas. I cut it
power.
open. I basically recreated Manny's picture.
Oh my
There you
gosh.
go.
That's got to go
There we
viral.
go. I screenshot it, baby. Let's
I
go.
don't even know what to do with this thing now. I got this whole ass papaya. What do you do with the papaya?
You eat it.
No,
Yeah.
I know that, but do I put it in
Mitch,
something? Do
Mitch.
I toss the seeds out? What do I do with this thing?
All right, Vish,
Yeah,
Vish.
toss the
This
seeds
is what you do. You take out the seeds, you peel it all out, you put it in the blender, you get some leche
Ooh.
condensada, some little bit of regular milk, add some sugar, ice, and you blend it. Most delicious
Oh,
smoothie you'll have in your
man.
life, son.
That is the best.
There we go, cooking with Manny.
Batido de fruta bomba.
But anyway, I had this whole bit planned that I forgot it in the kitchen because 6 ring ran long and I didn't have time to go grab it.
Oh man, I think they I don't know if they're gonna be able to get much better than where they're at right now, but it's fun. I'd like to see Ricardo compete more and kind of get his groove back a little bit. Lando, same thing. He's a heck of a driver, so
Yeah.
I think it'll be exciting to see what they. Oh man, that's got to go viral. That picture's got to go viral, man.
Oh boy.
Oh man, that's a great picture. Oh, you got to post that on Twitter later. Oh man, that is amazing. And that should be the cover of the YouTube. And anyways, finishing this out, and then we'll kind of get into predictions. Which was something I wanted to talk about was a sprint, right? So we're getting back in the sprint. There's going to be 3 races this year that are going to have the sprint, at least as of right now. God knows if F1 is going to decide to change that later on, but. So right now, talk to me a little about sprint. I know, Vish, you're not too happy about sprint. You're not a big fan of the sprint. Why not? What is it about it that you don't like?
Don't let Manny give you condensed milk. I don't think Manny's gonna ship condensed milk up to my place in DC. So I
Who's
think I'm okay.
defending the constructors? I think it's.
I will find that out right now.
I think it's Haas, isn't it?
Oh, it's the American team that uses a Italy engine. Okay.
Haas. There you go. Anyways, go ahead.
All right, yeah. So I have a couple of problems with this. One is I actually enjoy the
Alpine.
Oh yeah, because Ocon is kicking Alonso's ass, which is another topic for another day.
Alpine. Yeah.
So I understand like why they introduced this because frankly the racing on track was boring, and this allowed some wheel to wheel stuff to happen longer over the weekend. I like that F1's a meritocracy, and to me, putting in gimmicks to try and mix it up kind of defeats some of that. I'm happy with like the normal qualifying format. I didn't feel like we needed it, and I certainly would like to see these cars more before we, it's like this, the DRS. Do we need these things anymore? And my biggest problem though this year, because I thought last year was fine as a novelty, 8 points if you win. That is a lot of points.
That's a lot
for like a little like farting around the track for like 20 laps. You're gonna give 8 points for that? That is a lot of points.
And that happens on Saturday, correct?
Yeah, that happens on Saturday. The other thing is they screwed us American viewers because the actual qualifying that leads into the sprint race is now on Friday during the day. We got jobs. Like this whole sport caters to the Europeans. They're like, oh, it's great. Friday evening we finish work and then we can. I'm like, yeah, well, fuck you because we're working when you're doing the qualifying now. So qualifying's while we're all at work because it's on a weekday.
right.
And then I don't like giving that many points away. I know why they did it, like because when it was just the top 3 getting points for the sprint race, it wasn't that important. Like down the rest of the top 10, although it did determine the starting order, which to me was enough. But if you give 8 points for a win, there's 3 of these, as Jazz mentioned. That's 24 points if you win 3 sprint races. And the big problem I have with that is, again, F1's always been a meritocracy. And one of the things with these cars is, and we've talked about this a lot, where like which tracks favor Red Bull, which tracks favor Ferrari. They just randomly pick 3 for the sprint race, so it's not every week. So if I happen to be at a track, can you imagine last year if they had 8 points for winning the sprint race and it happened to be at tracks that favored Mercedes or Red Bull? That's 24. But that would decide the championship just because they picked that one to do. Here's extra points for this race. To me, I just don't like that. I think you keep it on. It probably won't matter at all this year because the Ferrari might just be that much better than everyone else that they're going to walk the title. But I just don't like. I mean, they've never did this, but there's always been rumors like, oh, put sprinklers on because it makes the track wet and it mixes it up. And it's just like, no, just let them race. if one car is that much better than everyone else, it's on the rest of the teams to keep up.
It's too gimmicky, right? It's too gimmicky.
And they've put in a lot of stuff to make the playing field more level, right? Because if this was 3 years ago, Mercedes would have already redesigned their entire car and showed up with a new one because it would have just spent like $100 million. They can't do that anymore. I know Manny flashed the tweet up about the cost caps. Mm-hmm. Those work. Those matter. Yeah. Yeah. So as the more we get into that meritocracy, I think the less we need things like this to try and mix up the field because it's going to mix itself up.
Yeah, Alex, I get your point, dude, but at the same time, I'm with Vish. You already have the money budget issue there for the whole team. That right there should be the deciding factor on how you approach that, for how each team does. To give a team an extra 8 points, that's going to happen, what, Vish? 3 times, you said, right? Right?
Wait, does that give the team or the driver?
No,
okay, to
both,
give the driver.
Oh, it gives us both?
Both.
Oh.
Yeah, no, they're normal points.
Oh, no, then, bro.
Oh, yeah, it's true. If the driver gets it, the team gets it.
So then for them to say that, well, these 3 races can give an equivalent, and I think that you said, what was it, 24 points, basically for the driver and the team. And you're right, that can automatically tell you who's going to be almost right there to win it towards the end of the year. But to me, that defeats the purpose then of having, I'm sorry to say it, a money gap or a money cap thing, because, all the top teams, Red Bull, Mercedes, and Ferrari can just say, hey, if we perform really great at these 3, guess what? It is what it is. We got extra 8 points of each, right? So then I don't see how that,
Yeah.
The angry
we know who the angry typist is. Yeah, Thank you.
We hear it all. We hear it all the time. We're like, man, this guy types with a purpose, man. Unbelievable.
No, because I had asked Vish to get me a site so we can all see a little bit more of what's Sprint.
He did. Yeah. What's the breakdown? So what's the breakdown on points? Does this give you the breakdown on points as well, like how it works? Like obviously P1 gets 8, and then what is P2?
Yeah, no, it's just I think it's 1 point step down. So.
Okay, and then like the last 3 get 1 point only, right, or something like that, right?
I thought it was straight stepping down from 8 down to 1, 7,
but 6, maybe.
Here we go. So the driver who takes P1 will now receive a more lucrative 8 points rather than 3, with a sliding scale down to 1 point for 8th place. Yeah, these points will apply in both drivers and constructors championships.
Yeah, the finishing order will. So the finishing order of the sprint will determine the poles.
Well, so pole is a technical term, so they changed it this year. That technically
bougie ass F1, unbelievable.
Yeah, so whoever finishes first in Friday qualifying for the sprint race is technically on pole.
Right.
And then the sprint race determines the race starting order.
So anybody else? So does everybody get to race in the sprint, or only the top 10?
Yes. Everyone gets so qualifying is normal on Friday.
So what the hell do we have a qualifying for then?
To determine the order of the sprint race.
Unbelievable. Jesus Christ.
So again, there's reasoning behind this. I just, honestly, my biggest problem with it at this point is that they're awarding so many points for it. Because the reasoning is, if you go to a race weekend, I mean, Manny talked about this earlier, $300 they're charging in Miami to walk around the track during practice, right? So by moving qualifying to Friday and having another meaningful session, you actually make each day valuable. So you're saying Friday there's something important happening because it's determining the sprint race order.
It all goes back to the money, baby.
Yeah, it makes the Friday session more valuable. My biggest issue is, again, giving points of that value for what's basically a shootout gimmick.
Right.
Doesn't. I don't know. It just doesn't sit. I am a crusty old F1 fan, so it's probably just me, but.
No, I get it.
I'm with you, brother. I'm with you, bro.
I understand. I understand what they're trying to do as well to add a little excitement to some of the board. I get it, but at the same time, I can see the other side where
I'd actually have less of a problem if it was out. Less points for sure, but also if it was just every race that they were doing this, because that's the way we qualify now. We got to do the qualifying on Friday to position ourselves for the sprint on Saturday.
So last year, the driver who won the sprint was awarded pole.
Yeah, again, pole's a technical term. The actual functionality of it doesn't matter, because it's like whoever finishes first on Friday would start first on the sprint race, which is the same thing. It's the same. You do a normal qualifying on Friday, and they line up for the sprint race based on the qualifying. And then the order at the end of the sprint race determines the order to start the race. But It was really confusing last year because the sprint race does not look like qualifying; it looks like a race.
Yeah.
Right.
So everyone would say, "Oh, the driver who finished first in qualifying is on pole," but actually, technically, they weren't. So they reclassified what pole meant to mean whoever finishes first in qualifying.
All right, guys. So the schedule is up there. So it starts in 2 days at 7:30 in the morning.
Well, you see, this is what I was complaining about. I went on my American rant, but qualifying 11 a.m. on Friday. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks. I'll be at work. I'll try not to get fired with having it on my phone. Unbelievable. Anyways,
Fernando, come on, man. Follow the money.
Yeah,
No, I mean that's exactly what it is because what they want to do. Well, it's cascading, right? We talked about this earlier. Like they don't give a crap about the Miami Gardens residents. We paid for the race, so then the people that are paying these exorbitant, frankly, extortion fees to bring races in,
right.
are like, you got to give me something on Friday so I can sell tickets. There's your sprint race.
There it is. All right, guys. Well, we'll see what happens with the sprint. I still look. We're talking about it, so it's going to be exciting. It's going to be interesting to see. It's going to change the dynamic of the race a little bit, I think. But at the end of the day, we know who's probably going to be at the top there, top 4 or 5.
And I will say the dynamic it does bring into it. We talked a lot about Red Bull reliability. What if they blow up in the sprint race and start at the end?
Yeah, that's true. Or what if they spin out? They screw up their cars. And
I mean, you can. They've had reliability issues.
So it does add a little suspense to it in that aspect. I mean, we could see a Latifi kind of screw things up again. Who knows? Hey. But anyways,
I do not want to go visit you for a free dental appointment, Alex.
Yeah. Tell me where you work so I don't go.
Yeah. Latifi's not the only one that's causing problems there.
Which dental office do you want? No, man. I'm going to tell you which ones I don't want.
Yeah. You know a guy named Alex, about whatever your last name is? Nope, not you. Yes, predictions. Here we are.
Yes,
that's
we will
where
do
we're
it.
going to end
We'll do it. Yeah, there we go.
Okay, we're done. Let's go.
You stop it. We're going to start with Nick first. Nick, what do you got, man?
All right.
I'm writing them down, by the way.
I'll have Leclerc finishing first. I'll have Checo second, and then I'm always picking a surprise third.
I like
So screw it. I'll go Lando third.
Lando, damn, with the papaya power.
Oh, God.
There it is. Manny, what do you got, man?
Are we getting top 3 or top 5?
Top 3. Top 3.
Leclerc.
And then we'll give your surprise, your surprise.
Like-
Okay, Leclerc.
Leclerc. Max.
Uh-huh.
Fuck me, man.
That guy's not very good.
Yeah, I've never seen
I don't think he's going to get on the podium.
I don't think so either.
George Russell.
Russell Daddy. All right. What do you got, Vish?
I'll go Max first.
Okay.
I'll go Hamilton second.
Oh, jeez.
Thank God.
Leclerc third. And double papaya points finish.
Let's go!
Double papaya finish.
In the points, which just means top 10, which they should do.
All right.
So,
Yes, Jack.
Yeah.
This is writing them down.
Jazz writes them down every week, and we never remember what we picked, and we don't bother to look. So
We do. We go through it every time.
I feel like we've had open debates on this, on like the race follow up. Like, wait, what did we pick? And you never pull the list out.
Bish, I have realized that if any of us are right, Jazz will let us know. If he doesn't tell us anything, it means we were wrong. Right?
I've told you guys every single race. You guys just have selected.
I only see you
100%.
say something when you win. And none of us else win. I never do anything.
As a matter of fact, that's incorrect, and we'll go back. We can go back to the replay if you want on that. I'm gonna go Leclerc, Max, and I think Sainz gets back on the podium this week. This weekend.
Okay.
I think he gets back.
So who is taking the 8 points on Saturday? Are we all?
Oh, that's true. There's like a whole other race going
Are we
on.
taking that prediction?
So we should actually say who we think is going to win the sprint race. Just don't do the top 3. Just pick.
Oh yeah.
The sprint race. I think Max wins the sprint race.
Max. Yep. You want the Max.
Max too. Yeah.
I picked Max to win the race, and all 3 of you picked him. All right, Leclerc.
There you go. I like it. Well, Vish gave me his kind of like his little hot take. What do you got, Manny? You got any hot takes aside from Russell?
Ocon will finish ahead of Alonso again.
That doesn't mean much, but okay.
You sure? I think it does.
He's better than Alonso.
I think it does. I think it
Nick,
does.
what about you? What do you got?
Listen, Toto knows.
I'll say Russell DNF.
Wow,
Alex,
okay.
screw you, bro.
I like that. I like
Screw
that.
you, Alex. Not happening.
Bottas is not. Unless, okay, so you're going Lewis DNF,
You know
Alex?
what? You know
Yeah.
what?
You said, no.
'Cause-
Alex said you.
yeah, because
Yes,
that is a way that Bottas can beat Lewis.
May I change my surprise thing?
Shit. Sure.
That Latifi will not finish the race.
Get the fuck out of here! You're such an idiot.
All right, I'll go with Austin. Austin Martin is not going to get points.
points.
I'm going to go with Austin Martin's not going to get points. There's my surprise pick.
How about this? I'm gonna go super hot take. Vettel finishes in the top 10.
Okay.
I honestly think you could have gotten away with just saying Vettel finishes. At this point,
hey, Manny, you're
Listen,
sticking
at
with
this point-
you're sticking with Ocon ahead of Alonso. Don't give me that crap, okay?
No. You don't want that one? I was gonna talk about Yuki, man, but his damn car sucks, so I really don't know.
That's it. We're
is it
sticking
the
with that.
car or is it the Yuki? Because Gasly seems to be.
Okay.
Russell DNF for Nick. Ocon ahead of Alonso for Manny. Vish thinks double papaya points and Jazz Vettel in the top 10. That's it. That's perfect. I like that. I like it. All right, we all chose Max for sprint, except Vish. 3 of us, and then Vish chose Leclerc.
Leclerc?
All right. That's good. I think we're done for today.
We're done for tonight.
So we're going to do. Oh, crap. I'm going to be in Miami. I'll see how I watch this race. But
Oh,
I guess we're doing a
Sunday.
post race.
We are doing a post race, absolutely 100%. It's like at 11:30 or so, so that'll be
I'm going to have
perfect.
to do it from my phone, but we'll see.
That's fine, man. Where you? That's fine. You'll be all right. Yeah, we'll get.
When I'm in Miami, I got personal shit going on, so.
Oh.
I think.
Oh.
Vish
All right. I'm sure my sister,
okay.
not with the papaya, but I'm,
Yeah, sure. It's not.
I am on. I'll tell you on Sunday morning. I am going with my niece.
This guy Jack is a funny guy,
I love
bro.
Jack, bro.
I mean, that's. I'm
Jack,
jealous
if
of the
you're
hair
local-
plugs. Gotta admit.
Oh man, Jack, Alex, if you guys are local, hit us up, man, so we can grab a beer and watch a race or something sometime, man. For real.
You're getting so excited, guys. Relax.
Casco
man.
watching the race too. That would be interesting.
Yeah, 9:00 race. We'll drink at what's this called? What's that place called? Fritz and Franz Beer House over there in Miracle Mile. Let's do it. All right, guys. I think that's enough for today. I'm tired, and thanks for joining us, man.
See you Sunday.
Make sure you subscribe on YouTube.
At F1_5 reasons.
On Twitter is at F1_5 reasons. Check us out there. Make sure you keep it locked. And by the way, I want everybody to know I did this whole show in my underwear. See you guys later.